get back to where we're going. Good morning, Claudia. Thank you for being here this morning. I hope everyone is doing well. Hi, Vesta. Okay, so let's see if I can get any comments up here. And kind of move this so that I can read it. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in. So, my upline, Karen Titus, she talked about this the other day. And it happens to all of us when life is getting really heavy and you find that it's hard to be creative. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just start with something easy. And life has been hitting me. And so the projects over the last couple of weeks have been a little easier, but they're helping me get back into that creativity, and they help me with my concentration, because I find that when I'm feeling a lot of weight on me, concerned of others, just life, okay, my concentration it's really difficult. I want to be creative. I want to, create beautiful things and just forget about everything that's going on. But if it's weighing really heavy on me, it just interferes. So sometimes you just got to go to the simple projects, and it happens to all of us. Even when we're feeling great, it's like we start with that one project, and then ideas just keep coming, and that really helps you come out of that rut that you're in, that slump. So this week is no different. It's just taking very simple things and creating something really, really pretty. So I'm using the Beautiful Gallery products from the Beautiful Gallery suite. I'm finding that I'm needing some more comforting, caring, subtle cards that aren't the brights that I've been using, like the bees and things like that. I need to tone it down and come from a more comforting place. And I think that you're going to see that this design, especially with your quilting, is going to achieve just that. So while I am flipping the camera around, please say good morning to each other. I notice that my bangs are a mess. I apologize about that. Say good morning to each other, and then we're going to get started on today's project. Okay, as soon as I can find my widget. There we go. Okay, let's move the computer. Okay. So, don't get dizzy. Let's just kind of move that. I think we could zoom in just a little bit. There we go. How's that for everybody? Okay, now I can see some comments. We'll see who's all here. We'll see if all of our Lindas are here. Hi, Ann and Holly, Marilyn, Sandy. There's a Linda. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Doris. Hello, everybody from Wisconsin. Hi, Sandra. Yeah, hi, Peggy. Yeah, life just gets really heavy, and for whatever reason, it seems like it all wants to come at once. For members, of my family, for loved ones. And so while, personally at home, things are, great, it's things that people who mean a lot to me, the things that they're going through. I'm taking it on and wishing that I could just snap my fingers and everything's perfect. But you know what? As long, we can pray for each other and help where we can. And somewhere you come out of that darkness, out of that heaviness. So we just keep pushing on, right? Just keep pushing on. And oops, I missed something here. Oh, I can't find it. Okay, I'll have to go back through the comments. Anyway, let's get to today's card. So let me show you the product that I'm using. So from the Beautiful Motifs stamp set, I'm using Thinking of You for the inside of the card. And I'm Here for You Always is what's going to be on the front of the card, but you could also use You've Been on My Mind. So I just picked sentiments that were going to fit the little label that I die cut, and either one of these will work. But I'm going with I'm Here for You Always. My quilting is going to be done with the Eyelet Embossing Folder. This is just such a beautiful embossing folder, and it really lends well to today's project, okay? My label was cut from Spotlight on Nature dies. So I used one of the rounds that looks like eyelets, kind of tying in the Eyelet embossing folder. So I've got that. And then let's talk about some of the paper from the Designer Series paper pack. This paper, this collection has a lot of beautiful sceneries. Serene, calming. The colors are calming and very caring. And what I love is they can serve not only masculine needs for your cards, but really it can go either way. So with the neutral colors, it's very versatile. But here are just some of the sceneries that are in that Designer Series paper. And let's do this. There we go. Let's do that. So that you can see all of them. I think they're just so beautiful. So that's some of the sceneries for today's cards. Now, on Wednesday, I gave you a prep post, and I gave you a little bit of homework so that we could kind of move things along. So let me bring in that. There is the homework. So we're going to make 2 cards, but we're going to cut our 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock together. We're going to do the scoring together, and then we'll cut it. So we're going to do that together, and then I will show you how we're going to put the grid on the neutral square that's 3 3/4 inch square. And then this was our homework. We just took all those 1-inch squares and adhered one of the 1/2-inch squares to the inside. And you know, the more the better. That way you have options. So just have a whole bunch of them. And this block is so pretty that I think that you will continue to use up whatever you have until you don't have any more. Okay, so let's start with our card base. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And we are going to put the 11-inch side across the top. And let's see here. Did I miss something again? Oh, hi, Lori. Hi, Julie. Hi, Dorothy. And Helene. Okay, so 11" is across the top. And I'm going to score, get your cutting blade out of the way. I'm going to score at 5.5. Okay, and now I'm going to walk the piece of cardstock back to the right. So I got 5.5. I'm going to move it to the right, and I'm going to score at 4.25. I'm going to move it to the right again to 2 1/8. So 2 1/8 is between 2 and 2.25. And now I'm going to turn my cardstock to the 8.5 across the top, and I'm going to cut it in half at 4.25. Okay, so now I have both my card bases and all my scoring is already done. Okay, so our card base is going to be a bit of a double fun fold, I guess you could say, because each step that we're going to do is a fun fold. And oh my goodness, sirens are going off like crazy around me outside. I don't know if that picks up for you guys, but outside something major has happened. Okay, so I burnished the score line on 5.5, and if I fold so make sure your score lines are on the front. So if I fold this first one back, ta-da! We have a bookbinding fun fold. I think the bookbinding fun fold is everybody's favorite when it comes to displaying a quilt block. It's a go-to, okay? Now, I am going to come back, and we need to kind of come in a little bit more. Okay. So right there, that's one fun fold, right? But we're going to do another one. So with our score line that's at 2 1/8, you're going to fold it back on itself the same direction as the first one. And so our fun fold is going to be like a Z fold bookbinding card. Okay, so if you want to right now, you could, we're going to create the spine. And now if you were going to wrap ribbon around your spine, you're not going to want to do this part just yet, but I'm not using ribbon. And so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to close the spine of my card. Okay, and I'm going to do that to both of my card bases. Remember, if you plan on wrapping any ribbon, you're not going to want to close that just yet. So this is going to be our Z fold bookbinding fun fold. a double fun fold. Okay, put this one back too. And then I am going to seal up that spine. And I am using Cloud Cover as my card base. Beautiful grayish blue. Okay, so there's our card bases. And let's keep working on our card bases for a moment. So I had you cut, we're going to work on one. I can do the other one after the live. Let's focus on one of them. So I had you cut a 4 1/4, or no, a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of the Designer Series paper. And this is not going to be the front of our card, okay? I am putting this scenery on the back side of my card. So I am kind of, you might think, oh, that's, you know, who's going to see the back? But I like doing the backs of my cards. And this way I don't have to chop up this beautiful scene. And I think it really does finish off the card really well. So that's the back side of my card. Oh, let's hope I didn't put it on upside down. Otherwise, it's going to become a card for someone who's left-handed. So that's the back. And then, you know, that 1 by 4? This is just a scrap piece of the same picture from the Designer Series paper. It's really a shame that you can't get this all at once. I had to, this was cut from another piece when I used it. But this is going to go on the spine. And I like to turn my card around so that I can see this crease really well. That way I can center my strip. The other way I was getting a lot of shadows and I wasn't really sure if I was getting it where I wanted it. So I just turned my card to get rid of those shadows. Oh, and I put it on upside down. Didn't I? I did. How many of you are yelling right now, Julie, it's upside down? See, I can't see that score line really well. But we're going to go back in here with it. Okay. Saved. So there's the spine, just a little piece of the picture. Okay. We're going to keep going with our card base. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. And when I say I'm doing a little bit of stamping, it's a little bit of stamping. I am going to stamp my sentiment, thinking of you. Now this is really pretty simple, so I hope, I mean, how much can I get this wrong? I'm still going to, you know what, I still have to move it down here in front of me. But let's see if I can be straight. Not too shabby, you guys. You know, practice makes perfect, right? Okay. Now, I'm not going to put this on the inside of my card yet. Why? Because Murphy's Law will get me every time. I don't want to get anything on this as I'm flipping my card over while I'm working on it. So I'm just going to get that out of the way so it stays nice and clean. And we're done with our card base for now. So I'm going to set that out of the way. And now let's get to what you guys want to know. You want to know, how are we doing our quilt block? Well, let's bring in our trimmer. And if you're scoring, or whether you are using a pen and a pencil, if you want to screenshot this right now, you can. It'll be in the PDF, but the PDFs don't usually load till the weekend. And so you can have this information right now. It's a 3 3/4 inch square. And you're going to score it at 1 inch on both sides. Okay. So 1 inch vertically on both sides. Then you're going to rotate it. And you're going to score, or you're going to draw a line every 3/4 of an inch. So it's 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, and 3. Okay, so that's when you rotate it. 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, and 3. So your grid looks something like this, but when we're working, We want to have it in this direction. We want our whitest sections to be at the top and bottom. That way you know that you are starting out the right way. Okay? So I have already drawn mine. The other ones that I worked at, I went ahead and scored. Now you will need to erase pencil lines, so I wouldn't go too dark. I've got one block that's finished, so I can come back to this one after the live. I can erase my pencil lines when I'm done and finish it. Okay, so let's put that to the side. And I'm just catching the comments right now, like upside down and then woo. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's bring in your homework. And I've got a nice little collection here of those 1-inch squares. And I have adhered a 1/2-inch square to the middle. Okay. Now I'm going to need 6 of these squares per block. And I had to chuckle when I was reading some of the comments on the prep that seems like there's way too many to be just one card. And I thought, oh, they're figuring it out already. We're gonna do 2 cards. So whatever you have left over, you'll have enough to make that second card because you've got 2 card bases, okay? So I'm gonna pick out 6 that I would like to work with, and I'm looking for lights and darks and just a really nice mix of colors. Maybe this one, and let's throw in a brown in there. So but if I don't like what I'm doing, I do have you know what, I like this one. Let's replace this dark one with that one. And what we need to do with these 6 squares is we're going to chop them up in half diagonally. So you're going to put them in your trimmer, and my points are in my cutting track. And I'm not going to come down into the point, so I'm going to have my scoring blade like kind of hovering over the top. And then I'll just go back and forth. And we need to have 12 half square triangles. Okay. So cut those these squares in half diagonally. Just got a few more. And then we'll get started creating our quilt block. Okay. One more. I'm going to show you an alternative, something that you can keep in mind. Oh good, that did cut. It kind of moved on me. I was wondering if I made it wonky. I'm just gonna have to cut another one, but we're good. Okay, so I think we can put the trimmer out of the way, and we'll bring in the silicone mats. Gonna bring in our grid, and we're gonna be working from the bottom up. Okay, working from the bottom up. Well, hi Lori, how are you? Hi Marilyn. Hi, Sharon. Repeat score lines on the DSP. Score lines on the DSP. We cut our DSP. The large pieces were just layers, Sharon. The score lines on the cardstock for your card bases was 5 1/2, 4 1/4, and 2 1/8. Okay, that's what the cardstock score lines were. I think that's what you meant. Okay, so let's get all these notes out of the way for a moment. I am going to, now I've got 2 of everything. If you want more choices, then cut more squares if you don't want to repeat anything. I'm just going to go with these. And what we're going to do is, starting on the bottom row, we're going to take 2 triangles, and the peak of our triangle should be on this line that was scored or drawn at 1 inch. Now don't worry if your triangle doesn't go all the way to the next line. That doesn't matter. We're using this line right here to make sure that we're in the right position to finish the pattern. So your peak will be resting on that line. And make sure that you have your triangle all the way to the edge. Okay, and what I'm looking at when I'm laying this out is trying to put pieces down that have some contrast next to the ones around them. You can overthink it, so don't worry, but that's just kind of what I'm looking for right now. I don't want too many dark triangles together. Just trying to round it out. And you're going to put another one on that other line that was done at 1 inch. Okay, so that's getting us started right there. Oh, the grid. Oh, okay. So you're gonna, Sharon, you want a 1 inch score on both sides of that 3 3/4 inch square. Then you're gonna rotate your square 1 time, and you're gonna score or draw every 3/4 inches. So 3/4 inches, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, and 3. Okay? But we need to be working with our grid in this orientation. You want your widest area, you want that in the middle. Okay? The center that doesn't have any other lines on it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another triangle, and I just want to eyeball this one. The longest side of my triangle is going to rest on this next line, but I'm just going to eyeball it so that it's in between these 2 triangles. Okay? So I'm just going to eyeball it. Now, on either side of that middle one, we're going to put another triangle, but it's only going to be on half. The peak of your triangle is going to rest on the edge of your grid, okay? So the peak is going to be right along the edge, and just be careful because you only want to glue half. So know which half it is that you want to glue down. And then we're going to put another one on the other side I think I'll go with that one. Again, you don't have to, don't overthink it too much. Scoot you over just a little bit. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you're going to repeat your first step. So we're going back to this one and we're going to do the same thing to that third row. Okay. Again, your peak is going to land on that vertical line. And you need 2 of these. So now I am kind of going into repeating my triangles, which is fine. So I've seen this layout or this quilt. They did it in just half square triangles. And if Kathy's on, if she can help me know the name, it's just half square triangles going in the same direction, row after row after row. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but we've got a center to our triangles, and we're using them horizontally, although you could turn this block and have your triangles going in a different direction. Also, we're laying them a little bit differently. We're not laying them like this, which is the orientation of the quilt that I'm thinking of. They were just like half square triangles with, you know, your 90-degree angle down the corner, just repeating itself. So it's a little different. Okay, so now we want to repeat. We're going to put one in the middle. That's a couple of different blues there. I think I'll go with, we'll just bring this one in. It doesn't matter. Julie, quit overthinking it. Again, this one's going to go in the center. And can you kind of see that you're developing these diagonal lines? They're not all perfect, but I mean, you can just kind of see that they're like stepping off into an angle. And I think I'll put this other one over here. And one more over on the side. I think I'll use this one. Yeah. And then we just have 2 more to go. So see how simple this is? But I can't wait to show you the block when it's quilted, because it is so, it's like if you could wrap yourself in it, it just is very comforting. And then these last 2 triangles, are going to go to where that point is right there on that 1-inch line. And again, don't worry if your point doesn't go all the way to the next line. I really didn't want them touching each other. I wanted to leave some space in between the triangles so that you get to see them individually. So they're not meant to be touching, okay? So there is the quilt block. I know that you're thinking, oh, that doesn't look like much, but wait till it's finished, okay? So what you'll do then is you're going to turn this over and you're going to trim off. And you could save these triangles for the next quilt block, and they would fit right along the edge there. You can use them on the inside of your card if you want, however you want to use them, or you can just get rid of them. Okay, but you're going to cut those off. And so it's trimmed down to look like this. Now I will finish this one by erasing all those lines and put it into a card. I put my block into the 3D Eyelet folder, and this is what it looks like. Is that not so pretty? This just gives me the feel of an actual quilt, and that I could just wrap myself up in it, and it just has a lot of warmth. I hope that you can see the texture from that Eyelet embossing folder. So the embossing, the quilting that you're going to do is going to change everything. Okay? And what I love about this paper, this can be masculine. These are very neutral colors. The paper works great for masculine cards, but sympathy cards, thinking of you. They're very beachy, neutral colors. So think the beach. It's just a really rounded collection of color and paper and patterns that can work anywhere. Okay, so this is my quilt block. Okay, so let's finish our card. Let's bring in our card base. Now we've got, remember, this is that Z fold book binding fold. Oh, before we do that, don't do that. I have a layer here. I want to put a layer behind my quilt block. If this is 3 3/4 inches, I went up 1/4 of an inch, so this is a 4-inch square. I am using, again, the two-toned cardstock. I love that it's lighter than regular cardstock, and it's not adding bulk to my card. So I have been using a lot of the two-tone cardstock for my layers. And I'm going to adhere my quilt block to that square of Pecan Pie. Again, you can, you know, when I look at these colors, I look and I think, oh, that's a beautiful masculine card. But when you look at all the colors, the petal pink, Lost Lagoon, Cloud Cover, Pecan Pie, they're very beachy colors. So if you were making a card, male or female, for someone who just loves the ocean or loves the beach, this would work for either or. Okay, bringing in the petal pink, just kind of like, you can use this, you can give this to anyone. So there is our quilt block, and it has been framed with that background layer. Now this is going to go right on the front, and notice that I am looking at the inside of my card to finish framing this block. But we're only going to glue it to this 2 1/8 panel. So I have to make sure that I don't put any adhesive beyond that. So I'm going to put my fingers where I don't want any glue, and I'm just going to put my thumb there, because being right-handed, I have to reach for my glue, and I'm going to stay away from my thumb. Okay. Now, I'll show you that I did a couple of cards where my triangles were actually pointing down. You've got options on the layout. So now I'm going to lay this in here, and I'm looking for just a nice even border. And press it. I'm going to open it up and make sure that I don't have any glue coming out from here. And I might need to just straighten it out a little bit. I'm not sure here. It looks fine. Okay, so there is the quilt block featured on our fun fold. And I think you know what, before I put that inside piece, I'm going to flip it back over to the back. I notice I have my little button here. Now my button is going to cover some of the cabin, but that's okay. I'm going to put my button on the back. And I think I'm okay now to put the inside in. I just don't like getting anything on my inserts, you know, because we use like basic white a lot. And I just end up increasing my chances that flipping my card over while I'm working on it is I'm going to get something on the inside. So this is a 3 3/4 inch square also. So take one of your other neutral pieces and notice that when you close the card, you're covering that inside greeting. Okay. Yes, Barb, you could just glue the flap. Sometimes I don't judge very well, and I get it the glue beyond into my border, but yes, you could do that too. Whatever's easier for you. And let's look at, so here I have my sentiment, and notice I used, like I said, I used the eyelet die cut to kind of mimic the eyelets in my quilting. And I just have to decide where I would like to put this. So I've got 3 dimensionals on the back. And I'm just going to put this right down here in this corner. And then I'm going to bring in some linen thread, and I'm going to tie myself a double bow. Linen thread has got to be my favorite. If you're in the ribbon category, I get the ribbon when Stampin' Up! Comes out with it, but I don't tend to use it. I like to go to linen thread or the baker's twine, only because it's just so much thinner. So I'm tying myself a double bow. I just doubled up on my layer. And then I'm playing with the tails here. Kind of keep things out of the way. Tighten my bow. I'm going to pull down on one, not this one, maybe over on this side. I'm going to pull down on one of these tails so that my loops are different sizes. And then I will cut. Whoops. So here's my little double bow, and I'm going to put it a glue dot on the back of it. And I'm going to put that right down below my stamped greeting. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of the, what do I do with them? In the suite are these antique pearls. And what I love about these pearls is they're nice and they're flat. They don't stand really tall. And I love that you can take your blends and you can color these if you are looking for a specific color and you don't have embellishments that have the color that you're looking for. And I am just kind of I think I'm going to put a couple up here to bring my interest over to this corner of the card. And again, it's a very soft color, so it keeps the softness of my quilt block, just carries it over into another part of the card. And then I'll use one more, and I just want to put a little pearl down here by my sentiment with my bow. So a very simple card, but I think it really sends the, you know, it's just got a very comforting feeling to it. I think that a lot of that has to do with the quilting. And then when they flip it over, they've got this beautiful, beautiful scenery on the back. So now you've got enough pieces that you can make a second card. And I did a couple different things with some other samples that I want to show you. They're all the same designer series paper. I didn't make a Christmas card or, you know, a baby card or anything. Although those are cards that I have in mind using this quilt block here. But I want to show you, where's the one? Oh, right here. So this one right here, I quilted the 1x4 that's on my spine. This is the scenery that I chose for the back of this card. And when I'm cutting my extra piece, it was just that basic gray. And so to give it, you know, some texture, I ran it through the Eyelet Embossing Folder. I love how it took off some of the colors, so it looks kind of like antiqued. And then I just, to bring out the petal pink color, these are the low profile dots, and I used the petal pink ones. And but look at how different. Now this is all the same paper. Oh, and notice that my triangles are going in a different direction. But it just, each one is unique. And then this one here has that scenery that has the boats in it. Again, here's another part of that paper. But they just have different feel. Here's this one with the gold low profile dots. This is the water and kind of like the hillside on the back of that. This one here is this scenery with the meadow and the hills in the background. And this one still has to be finished. And I've got another one that's got to be finished because I've got this block. And I think I used the hillside background on that one too. So just some very calming, caring, comforting cards. And putting that scenery on the back just ties in everything with this suite. So that is this week's mystery quilt card. I can't wait to see what colors you chose to go with. Again, this is going to fit any occasion. I just needed some cards of this, speaking this, oh, I don't want it to be an occasion, but unfortunately, a sympathy card, things like that are. But I needed some of these cards. So I thought, well, I will just show you the cards that I needed to work on for the reason that I did. And then you can take it from here by changing up how fun or how soft, again, pastels for baby cards, a wedding card, the Eyelet Embossing Folder. If you don't have it, you need to get it for your, in your toolbox of quilting folders, okay? And again, I think it speaks masculine or feminine. So I'm going to have some cards to give away. So let's use the keyword eyelet if you would like a chance to win some. I'm going to give I've got quite a few of these, so I don't know how many that I will give away, but put eyelet in the comments if you would like a chance to win one of these cards. And be sure to post your cards over in our community group. It is a private group. There are some questions in the joining process that I need you to answer. But there you're going to find everyone sharing how they interpreted this card to be. Now, if you haven't left yet, if you're still on, I just thought of what I wanted to show you as an alternative. And I haven't done it, so I'm really not sure what it would look like in the finish. But if we go back to this, see how you've got this open space? If you wanted to fill in, what if you just kept your square, your triangle, a full square? And wherever there's some open space, what if you did something like this? And you didn't cut those triangles in half. I mean, that's another alternative. And you're still using those lines that you drew in to guide you as to where that square would go, and keep it nice and on point. So that's just kind of like another idea that you could play around with. However, I love the triangles. I love the openness that my quilting is going to land in. But it's just another thing to think about. Okay? So thank you for joining me today. And I will be checking what your projects look like over in the group after lunch. And everybody just have a very blessed day. And yeah, I'll be checking in with you guys in a little bit. So we will see you later, and look for a PDF to load this weekend. And the PDFs are always found in the files within the group, because Facebook doesn't let me have a file section on my business page. Okay, everybody, we'll talk to you later.